You're listening to Mic Drop Moments, a podcast brought to you each week with me, your host, Sandra Garlick. During the podcast, I invite guests to share their amazing stories, knowledge and top tips, including their mic drop moments, especially for you. I also share my learning and inspiration about life, business growth and visibility. I'm delighted to bring the Mic Drop Moments podcast to you each week to inspire and motivate you to achieve. Enjoy the podcast and don't forget to leave a review. Mic Drop Moments is sponsored by Grow Radio. Want to launch your own podcast? Grow Radio are here to help. Grow Radio has launched and supported countless podcasts, and they'd love to do the same for you. Just hit record and they'll handle the rest. No editing stress, no technical faff, just a great podcast released when you want. Need a little extra support? Grow Radio's workshops and courses make getting started easy. Let's bring your podcast to life. Message Grow Radio on social media. Let's make this happen. Welcome to Mic Drop Moments, and this is a special bonus episode of my birthday reflections, building a business and a life I love. So hello and welcome to this very special bonus episode. So today happens to be my birthday. Yes, you can sing happy birthday to me. And rather than talking about business and strategy and speaking of visibility and all those other things, I wanted to do something a little different. And birthdays have become my annual review, and not for business. Let's just get this clear. This is the day where I stop asking how's the business doing and start asking myself, how am I doing? And this year feels particularly significant alongside celebrating another birthday, but I've also been reflecting on other milestones as well. And yes, coming back to business, Woman Who celebrated its 10th birthday in January this year. So 10 whole years of conversations, 10 years of events, 10 years of saying yes to opportunities that scared me, 10 years of mistakes, lessons, friendships, awards, setbacks, laughter, growth, and so much more. And when I looked back over that decade, I realised something, that some of the biggest lessons haven't come from the awards I've won or the businesses I've built or the milestones I've celebrated. They've come from the moments I didn't even plan. And so today I'm going to share a few reflections with you. Perhaps some of them will resonate. Perhaps they'll encourage you to pause and think about your own journey. And I think one of the things that really helped me to look at this as well was the recording of Behind the Mic, which was the celebration of 10 years of Woman Who, but actually looked at my personal journey as well. And it wasn't until we started recording that and the memories started to flood back that it actually made me really take stock this year. So my first reflection is success has changed its meaning for me. If you'd asked me 10 years ago what success looked like, my answer probably would have been very, very different. I'd have talked about achievements, awards, turnover, recognition, building something that people admired. And whilst all those things have been wonderful and still are, they no longer define what success means to me. Today, success to me is more about choice. It's about waking up excited about what I'm doing each day. It's about working with people I genuinely enjoy being around. It's about creating opportunities to put others in the spotlight. It's about knowing that something I created has helped somebody else believe in themselves. It's about creating a legacy. I just want to share my knowledge with everybody. I've got so many decades of knowledge here, and it's going to be valuable to someone. And I think, yes, getting my MBE was absolutely, one of the pinnacles of the last 10 years. and, watching my members take to the stage and seeing them flooded with requests afterwards, or for other speaking opportunities, or clients, or just giving someone the opportunity to have a go and seeing their confidence, absolutely fly. It just means so much more to me. And I think really that's impact. And impact has become one of the bigger measures for me of success and the legacy that I can create. I think my next reflection is, and I've probably told you this before, I don't actually have a bucket list. I think I've had so many friends throughout my life, many sadly who are no longer with us, and they built these bucket lists for their retirement, and they never got to see their retirement. They never got to do those things. And I lost friends even in my 30s, and it's a real sobering awakening when people are looking forward to something and they're deprived of that opportunity. So I scrapped my bucket list. I'd still have a goals list as such, but it's not really set in the future, it's set in the now. And my bucket list was replaced by my F-it list. You can ask me what that means. You can probably guess. And, people say, oh, what destinations are on your bucket list? And I don't. And the reason I don't is I make them happen. So I don't actually have a bucket list anymore, and I never really liked the phrase. It just suggests one big life checklist way in the future, and the future, it's always put in the future, so it never actually happens. And it never really resonated with me. What I want to do is experiences. I want to create experiences, and I want to experience experiences. I want memories. I want stories. And that's one of the reasons I'm heading to the Maldives. Now, you could say that the Maldives were a bucket list item, but this year I said F it. And basically, I was hanging around waiting for the perfect man, the perfect relationship. It was going to be the honeymoon destination. Well, that hasn't happened for me. But my friend and I, probably after a few cocktails, decided why should we wait to go to the Maldives until something happens? Why should it be dependent on somebody else? Let's take back the reins and just go. So we're having a girls' week in the Maldives, well, a bit longer than a week actually, and we're going before it sinks. Basically, it's somewhere I've always wanted to go, and it feels the right time to celebrate, marking the milestone of 10 years in business. And what better way to celebrate that than to go somewhere I've always wanted to go, and go with my business, she's not even my business bestie, she's a bestie. And we're just going to go and have a week of fun. I'm going to read books every day and just pause and just enjoy it. And yes, Italy is still calling me, and I'm off to Italy. At the time of recording, I am going in a week's time. And I'm going looking at property. I'm going looking for a little house, a tiny little villa in Italy, in one of the villages. And it's just calling me. It's because how can I explain this? It's not what I call a dream destination, because I've been so many times, and every time I'm there, I just feel like a different version of myself, and I land and I feel I'm home. I instantly become calmer. Life becomes slower, and it reminds me that life doesn't always need to be lived at full speed. I just get to enjoy the experience. And I think when I realised that experiences meant more than possessions was when my mum went into a care home, and we packed her case and we packed a small box of things and took it to the care home. But what actually she took with her was her memories. The possessions meant nothing. And it was the memories that she took with her, and she talks about, and it's all the memories of the places she's been, the people she's met. And she makes up a few things as well. She's got dementia. But I realised that the value you take with you in life is your memories and your experiences, not the possessions. So actually, it's been a bit of a wake-up call for me. And yes, the reason I want to buy a little house in Italy is I want a base. I love exploring Italy. The trains are amazing. And I just want a little base that I can go over, do some writing, waddle down to the village, get my bakery, go to the bakery, go to the vegetables, buy my meat, buy my breads, clamber back up the hill, back to my little villa, look out at the hills of Tuscany and do some writing. And then on some days, go and get the train and go and explore different parts of Italy. That is an experience. That's why Italy means so much to me. Plus, I'm half Italian anyway. And I want to create those memories that I'll smile about years from now. And don't get me wrong, I've got bags of memories from every single decade of my life, but I want to create more, and I'm not going to wait to do that. And my next reflection, the third one, is I've stopped building my business around everybody else. And for years, my diary just belonged to everyone except me. It was weird. I used to put the holidays in, but then if the holidays didn't happen, I'd move something and fit people in, or an opportunity had come along and I'd say yes and move something that I was going to do that opportunity. And if there was work to do at the weekend, I'd work all weekend, without a doubt. And I convinced myself that that's what successful business owners did. And when I had my solicitor's practice, I was the one that worked every evening. I was the one that worked every weekend. I was the one that worked every holiday to allow my staff to go on holiday. Now, shouldn't it have been the other way around? So now I think differently, and I've recently introduced my free flow Fridays. There's nothing in the diary, and it means that there's no fixed meetings, no rushing from one call to the next, just space to think, to write, to create. Maybe I'll go to an event if I choose to do so. Maybe I might host an event if I choose to do so. But I wake up on a Friday and I think, what shall I do today? And it's just extended my weekend, and it's absolutely amazing. In fact, last week, after Free Flow Friday, I woke up on Saturday morning and thought it was Sunday. And then I thought, oh my God, I've got a bonus day. So Saturdays and Sundays have become ring fence. They're time for going to the football, watching the football, doing things with my grandchildren, seeing my family, going to see my mum, meeting up with my brother and his wife, doing all those things that I don't get time to do during the week. And it's absolutely amazing to ring fence my Saturdays and Sundays because I'm making more memories and I'm just absolutely enjoying it. And I think one of the greatest privileges of running your own business is running and creating a life that actually works for you. Isn't that why we went into business in the first place? For flexibility. And then what do? We ditch flexibility and work every hour, 24/7. If I want to work on a Sunday morning because inspiration strikes, I will. But I might take a Tuesday afternoon off. This week I took Wednesday off and spent some time with my grandchildren because it was the school holidays and I wanted to do that. It means I might do a little bit of work on Friday. It's just how the week pans out. It just means that in the afternoon, if I want to take a book in the week and go and sit in the sun, I can. And that's the freedom I've created for myself. So I'm really pleased I've managed to do that. And to me, freedom is one of the greatest measures of success. Reflection 4. Let's see. I think sometimes the biggest opportunities often arrive disguised as setbacks. And it's funny how many of the biggest moments in my life started with something I never wanted to happen. Let's talk about my bone breaking. And everyone jokes now, oh gosh, Sandra's broken a bone. I wonder what business she's going to start now, or what she's going to innovate and create now. And every bone I've broken, and I've broken lots. I've broken my ankle. I had ligament replacement in the other ankle. I've broken toes. I've broken my knuckle. I've broken my wrist. What else have I broken? I think that's about it really, but it's enough. And I've done lots of sprains. In fact, only last week, I had to get up with the dog because he was telling me something that was going on downstairs. So I got up, missed the bottom 2 steps, went flying, crashed on the floor, twisted my ankle, bashed my shoulder, and the thermometer or the thermostat fell off the unit, landed on my head, cut my head open. Yeah. But I've actually had one of the most productive weeks I've had in months. But breaking my ankle led to woman who would never have started had I not broken my ankle and been forced to stop and reflect. And that gave me thinking time I'd never allowed myself before. And other setbacks have taught me different lessons. Burnout taught me about setting boundaries. Falling over lots taught me about resilience. I've spent, as many decades off crutches as I have on. From when I was 14, I've spent periods each year on crutches after falling over. I'm just naturally clumsy. And challenges have taught me perspective. And looking back now, I can honestly say I wouldn't remove any of those chapters from my story. And at the time, they were very painful, sometimes frustrating, sometimes frightening. I mean, sort of being there, on morphine, waking up after surgery is not anything I'd recommend, but those experiences have shaped who I am today, and I've got some great stories. And when I look back at the 10 years of Woman Who and think, God, that wouldn't even have started had I not broken my ankle. And sometimes life doesn't interrupt your plans, it redirects them. And I think we're all on a journey to a destination. We just take a few detours on the way, and maybe sometimes our destination isn't where we originally thought it might be. So my fifth reflection is the next decade to me feels a little different. And people often say to me, are you retiring? And I say, absolutely not. And I think about the years ahead, and I don't feel pressure to do more. And I certainly don't feel the pressure to retire either. I would be bored senseless. In fact, I feel the opposite. I want to do the right things. I want to write more. I want to speak more. I want to travel more. I want to help more people become known. I want to share my knowledge. I'm franchising Woman Who, so I want to create that legacy and basically give those franchisees all my knowledge on everything I've created over the last 10 years. I want to protect my health. I'm really looking at my health and my exercise and continue walking every day. And I think the NHS have said they're going to start this incentive to get everybody walking 30 minutes a day. Well, I'm starting mine today. Happy birthday to me. And this starts my 30 minutes walking every day. The other thing I'm going to start from today, and I'm holding myself accountable. You can hold me accountable for this one. I'm actually going to start doing a live every day. I'm going to do a live every day. Not sure where I'm going to do it yet. Probably on Facebook. Might be on Instagram. Don't know yet. But I'm actually going to do a live every day. It's something I've never done before. I do the odd live, but I'm going to commit to doing one every day. One of my members has just told me she's done it for 346 days. If she's done it for that long, I can certainly do it for the next 30, if not more. I'm going to continue learning, and I'm going to continue evolving. And perhaps most importantly, continue building a life I genuinely love. And I can honestly say that I love my life and I love my business. And it's not perfect by any means. And I still have challenging days. I still have setbacks. I still have those moments where I think, oh, am I going to be able to pay for that? I still have moments when I think, oh, I really don't fancy doing that today. That's life. That's business. But actually, for years, I thought I was just building a business. And now I realise I've been building a lifestyle. And the business is a vehicle that allows me to live my life. And that's probably the biggest lesson another birthday has taught me. So before I finish today's episode, I'd love to leave you with a question. And I'd like you to imagine that today is your birthday. Perhaps it is. Maybe we're twins. But not next year. Imagine today is your birthday. Not someday in the future. Imagine it's today. What would you be celebrating? Even celebrating. What would you be celebrating? Not what you haven't achieved. Not what's still on your to-do list. Not the goals you haven't reached yet or whatever is on your bucket list if you have one. What have you done over the last year that deserves a moment of gratitude? And I suspect you've probably achieved far more than you've given yourself credit for. So today, whatever stage of life or business you're at, I hope you take a moment to celebrate yourself and recognise that, not everything is perfect, and not because you just kept going. And sometimes that's the greatest achievement, obviously, but I want you to actually celebrate those small things, because too often we race on to the next thing without reflecting and celebrating exactly what we've achieved. So happy birthday to me. Happy imaginary birthday to you. And whether you've listened to one episode or every episode of Mic Drop Moments, thank you for being part of this journey. I genuinely appreciate every message, every view, every conversation, every person who chooses to spend a little time with me each week. And until next time, here's my Mic Drop moment. Success isn't reaching the destination. It's creating a life you don't feel the need to escape from. Think about that. Take care, and I'll be back, as usual, on Monday with the next episode of Mic Drop Moments. Take care. Thank you for listening to the Mic Drop Moments podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. Join me next week for more inspiration, learning, and top tips. Want to work with me on your business growth and strategy, speaking, or simply growing your audience? Just get in touch. Visit womanwho.co.uk to find out how you can start your speaking and visibility journey, or even feature on a future podcast. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss next week's podcast. And if there are any topics you would like to hear, just get in touch with me, your host, Sandra Garlick.